Everybody ready?
Yep.
Your reaction to the sentencing.
Well, if I could just say something first. After 6.5 years, justice has been done. Frank Spencer was murdered 6.5 years ago, but prior to his murder, he had been the victim of multiple crimes. He had been the victim of a burglary, he had been the victim of a fire. His girlfriend, Julie Dent, was also the victim of a fire, and ultimately Mr. Spencer was murdered. The last 6.5 years have been a search for justice, both in holding the people responsible for this crime and making sure they got appropriate sentences. That has now been accomplished. I want to thank, firstly, the Pennsylvania State Police, and particularly Corporal Sean Williams, who has truly been my partner for the last 6.5 years. I'd also like to thank Phil McCarthy, who's been co-counsel in the last 2 trials. Phil has really done a lot of the strong legal work behind the scenes to allow me to do some of the things that I do in the courtroom. So I want to thank Phil. And finally, I do want to thank my family, who has been very supportive of me through a difficult time. This case was not simply a case you worked on. Once we became involved in this case, this really became a full-time commitment on my part, when Phil got involved on his part, and Corporal Williams, Sean, on his part when he, from the beginning. So we're just happy at this point, and we hope that this verdict and the sentencing, the sentences that have been imposed on both defendants give Madeline Spencer, Frank Spencer's friends, and Julie Dent some level of peace.
This guy was threatening your family. I mean, it has to feel good to have him.
The truth is, I'd like to say from a prosecutor's perspective that it's not personal, it's business. This obviously became very personal because this defendant not only threatened my life, he threatened my children's lives. Additionally, he has made threats, both veiled and otherwise, regarding Corporal Williams. So we're just happy at this point that he's been held responsible for his criminality.
Sean, are you happy that this, after 6 years, because I know personally that you were dedicated to this for the last, since 2012. So are you happy that now you can kind of take a break? Because this has been an everyday thing for you?
Well, I'm very happy that this investigation has this closure. Having Maria and Rocco both behind bars for the crimes that they committed is wonderful. We're just glad of the outcome. We had a long road here. The 3 of us worked very hard, and a lot of other members of the Pennsylvania State Police and the Attorney General's office worked very hard to make this happen. 6.5 years is a long time. It became something we woke up with in the morning. All through the day we thought about, and we would go to sleep at night thinking about it. And I know I talked to both of these gentlemen constantly to make this case happen, that we were always 5 steps ahead. And I think the trial definitely showed that. The investigation showed that. But, as far as thanking people, there was a lot of different law enforcement people that helped out a great deal, and I can't thank them enough for the job that they do day in day. And this wasn't the only case that any of us just work on. We didn't work on this for 6.5 years. A lot of other crimes occurred. A lot of other cases have passed through our doors, through the Attorney General's doors, but we always remained focused to make sure that that there was justice for Frank Spencer.